What's up, everybody?
Gotta see it. Oh shit! Sorry, I stepped all.
You start.
But yeah, we got the what's up, everybody out of the way, so now we can actually start the show.
It's better that way.
It is better. Get it out of the way up front.
So you might notice, everybody, we sound a little bit different. I got a live guest with me, Mike. Mike, you're not even at your house, are you?
I'm in parts unknown at the moment.
Right. So why don't you tell us what happened with trying to do anything at your house on a computer?
Oh yeah, I have no internet at the moment. No, my only ties to the outside world are my phone. So, I'm if it wasn't for my phone, I would be, basically primitive right now. I've got no cable, no. I do have electricity, but anyway, I'm sounding different because I don't have any equipment and I don't have my computer, and I'm literally calling in to the fucking podcast on my phone. Like this is it's a goddamn call-in radio show or some shit. And I've got to call. But here I am.
Clear.
I'm glad that I sound clear.
Yeah, I can't believe that's your phone, dude.
Yeah, apparently my phone mic kicks all of the asses. Who would have known?
Yeah. And you're going to hear a lot of cool stuff like whatever that is. What does that sound like to you?
I'm not 100% sure. What is that?
Is it chirping?
No, it sounds like a giant fan just turned on.
Yeah.
That is
true.
Yeah, your neighbors just turn on the fan outside.
It's coming from your end.
Wow. So this is going to be exciting, guys. Just pretend you're in the room with us. It's Omniant Room Miking.
Live podcast from last week's recording.
Yeah.
I think it's the Podcast Palooza Mafia trying to make sure that this episode doesn't come out.
I believe it.
I believe it. You guys are hearing a third voice. This is our guest tonight. We have JG with us. JG was going to help us when we got into the Podcast Palooza fiasco. And that didn't work out. And we said, fuck that. We're going to have JG on to talk about podcasts. And it just stopped.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was that?
And it's a fucking alien. It's a spaceship. It's a beam that evil time-traveling Barack Obama is trying to send through Skype. But we have JG here. We're going to talk about Comic-Con, and we're going to talk about some shit that we were doing as far as research to talk about when we were going to do this live podcast. And, of course, we'll get into a little bit about Podcast Palooza and what happened with that and why we didn't do that. But, yeah, this is going to be, I predict, a fun episode of Nom.
Nom?
Nom.
I dig it.
Nom alone.
Specs, man.
Are we allowed to say Nom?
Yeah, why not? It's going to be a regular release to the regular general consuming public, but
I mean, it also kind of sounds like nom, like eating something too, so people might just mistake it for that.
Oh yeah, it could be confused
right,
like it's food.
Let's call it Nam.
Nam.
Then we're gonna get emails from angry bikers, and it's not what I thought it was about. I don't give a shit about your Spiderman.
John Rambo's gonna come crashing through the window with a fucking 60 and
you should be talking about freedom, about comic books.
I'm sorry, I'm over here cracking up.
Oh man. So this was the third year that we attended Silicon Valley's Comicon, which was started by Steve Wozniak and Stan Lee himself.
Oh, the Woz?
The Woz. I'm sorry. Other than Dancing with the Stars, I've never heard of the fella. And I know he's all Silicon Valley Apple guy. But I was stoked when they announced that they were doing that. I thought it was about damn time. I got to go to San Diego Comic-Con in 2009. And that was fucking one of the coolest things ever. And just getting to San Diego and saving up money for a trip like that's like far and few between. So I was super stoked that they started doing this here. And fortunately, we've gotten to go all 3 years. JG, you've gone all 3 years too, right?
Actually, no. I was moved away at the time of the first year.
That's right.
So I missed out the first year, but I went the last 2 years. And yeah, man, it's super fucking blast.
It is. It's always a blast. Mike, have you ever gone to any type of comic convention at all or any type of...
No, I've never been.
If you were to go, would you cosplay?
No.
JG and his family, they go all out. They always pick something awesome. This year it was Gender Bent X-Men, right?
Yeah.
JG was Jubilee.
Awesome. And it was funny, out of all the people, like, I was with my whole family, and I kept getting recognized. Everyone was so awesome that I was a male Jubilee. And I carried around with me little sparkly pom-poms. I kept throwing them at people.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But all the cosplayers that were there were cool. I mean, I'd cosplay unless I had something pretty cool. I mean, I can only go as like Hagrid. I mean, that's all I can do. That or Out of Time.
Are you broad enough to be Hagrid?
Am I what?
Are you broad enough?
Yeah, you can pull it off.
I can pull it off.
Like 3 layers of sweaters.
Yeah, I can put on some sweaters. That or either like the alternate editing Out of Time Ash from Army of Darkness, when he says the words wrong again and it's just him with long hair and a beard.
Yeah.
I can pull that off. But there's that, I made a mention of it on Instagram. There was a Jason Voorhees there that...
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that?
Awesome. Yeah.
That dude was so awesome. My daughters, they play the Friday the 13th game. Have you played that at all?
No, I haven't. I have it though, but I haven't played it yet.
Oh yeah, you gotta play that. They're ripping that off now. That's what that... There's one game that was free last month on the PSN. I forget what it's called, but it's the same thing. But so my kids just love Jason, and when they saw him, he was awesome. He did a great job on his shit. They were just stoked to see him, and he was just so fucking nice to my youngest kid. I mean, he gave her his machete to hold and was happy to take pictures. I swear, for the rest of the day, anytime we were anywhere, we would turn around and he was there already looking at us in his Jason pose. I mean, he played with out for the rest of the day. It was awesome. And I stopped him and I gave him some stickers. And I was like, here, dude. And he broke his character for the first time. He was like, what's this? But he was stoked to get the stickers. I told him we did a podcast and it was about paranormal stuff. So I hope he checks out the show and reaches out, because I went back and drew him that picture. I don't know if you got to see it.
No.
I drew a picture of out with him at Comicon. So I was hoping we went back to give it to him, but it was no such luck.
I think the coolest cosplayers I saw that weekend was they're actually now like world famous. I've seen. That's pretty cool. Oh, that is really cool. I think I've seen them in memes now. Those guys are dressed up as the Avengers, but they were all fast food chain style guys. Man,
they were so awesome.
That's so good.
They were awesome, dude. Everything was well done.
Oh, my favorite though was Star-Lord. It was Carl's Jr. So his head was just a big ass star.
Oh man. Oh, but it was they were all awesome. Everybody that we stopped to take pictures with was cool. They were all inviting and super cool. And even like I got to hear like 4 or 5 people meet each other for the first time. Like overhear people being like, "Are you Dave?" "Yeah, I'm Dave." "Oh, dude." And people just hugging.
Oh, the cosplay community is huge.
Yeah. It's super awesome. Even just people who were there shopping and people just taking part were just meeting each other for the first time. I think they had almost 70,000 attendees in the 3 days that they had it this time.
Yeah, this year was like the biggest year they did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had big celebrities this year too. They had the whole Terminator cast from like the original 3.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger was my cousin, met him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Paid $200 for it, but yeah. What's really awesome though is that when you go down through the merch hall, in the back they have what they call Celebrity Row, and they have a lot of like low name celebrity guys and like B-listers, old guys. Like last year I met Chris Kattan.
Yeah, he was there. I remember.
Yeah, he's a mousy small man, but he's still really cool.
Yeah.
But this year I got to meet Lou Ferrigno. Yeah,
I walked by and said hey to Lou Ferrigno. That was crazy.
I shook his hand and he seemed a little annoyed that we weren't there to buy anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. See, I love the Silicon Valley Comicon, and I'll say now, like the whole Podcast Palooza thing, that wasn't ran by Silicon Valley Comicon. It was a separate entity, and the people we were communicating with, you can see that they were a company. They were like an event planning company. So it was like even third and fourth hand dealing with people. But when I went to San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm sure it's not just because it was in San Diego and it was the big San Diego Comic-Con, it was never like that.
No.
When I went there, there was no celebrity row. It was just a giant, goddamn, ungodly huge building that was just all like the shopping area, like all just vendors. And then in the mix would be like Simon Pegg sitting at a table with like some books and shit. And you'd be like, oh, hey, Simon Pegg. I remember when I went, I stopped to fix my shoe and I put a hand on a table and somebody said, hey, are you okay? And I looked up and it was Brian Posehn. And I was like, oh, hi, Brian Posehn. And it was just cool. I remember they were just walking around, and now it's become this thing to where, I don't know, remember where I heard it, but I don't know if it's like an independent contract they sign with these conventions, but they pick the price of whatever they want to charge you for an autograph, and you can buy the picture if you don't have a picture. And it wasn't like that. They were just there, and you can say like, hey, can I get a picture? And they're like, yeah. But somewhere along the line, all these celebrities caught on to how much they make. I mean, I heard some report about some YouTube dude going to these conventions and him walking out with garbage bags just full of money. And all the celebrities saw that and they're like, holy shit, what's going on there? It's like, yeah, it's an independent contract with the event. That shit's, it's your money right out the door. You leave with that fucking money. So now it's just like, I went to, was it last year? David Tennant was there.
Yeah.
And they wanted $200 to take a picture with the guy. $200.
No, so Schwarzenegger was crazy because it was $200 to take a picture, and if you want an autograph, it's another $200.
Holy shit.
That is bonkers, man. Who the hell is going to pay $400 for some
Dude,
Arnold Schwarzenegger? I mean, apparently a lot of people, I guess, right?
Yeah.
My cousin was one of them.
That is just insane. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean...
I can't think of a single person that I would want to meet that much that I would pay $200 for.
There's a few. I mean, last year Stan was there, but I mean, I really couldn't bring myself to go. My wife's like, go. We'll pay whatever hundreds of dollars it is. Go meet Stan Lee. And I'm like, you know what? I cannot bring myself to go bother a 93-year-old man, right? I'm just, he's going to need that all day. I mean,
but if you're paying $200 to bother him, I'm sure it makes it a lot more palatable.
I'm sure, but I just don't want to bother the guy. I'm just gonna walk up and be like, and hug him, and then walk away. I'm like, I'd rather not do that to myself or him.
An old man, a heart attack.
Yeah,
Sasquatch man.
Yeah, have him announce like after that, this is my last time going to any convention ever. People have gotten too weird, so yeah, I couldn't do that, but. That's a lot of money, but it's still cool that they're there to do that. I mean, there's a long walk to where you can hit their little table, but you could just stand there and look at all these crazy people. Julie Benz from Angel and Buffy was there. And Dexter. Yeah. I was like, holy shit. It was cool. It's awesome. They do a good job. They spare no expense. Everybody there's really cool. It's a cool atmosphere. Everybody's very nice. The people in the media who helped us, Brooke was the young lady who helped us with getting press passes to sit, and she actually hit me up after the fact. It was like, yeah, I'll get JJ a pass right now. I'm like, oh my God, God damn it. And they weren't even accepting any more press passes. She was just willing to help us out like that. So
that's nice of her.
Yeah, so thanks you, Brooke. Yeah, thank you, Brooke. It's always been awesome, but I guess that's a good way to branch off into the Podcast Palooza stuff, right, Mike?
Yeah, I don't see why not. There was so little information, and it was all thrown at us on such short notice. And there was like, had I lived there, maybe we could have planned something that would have been good, but with the things that they said, there was no way that we could have done anything.
Yeah, they gave us a very small window of time to do anything. It was almost like I got tricked into entering our podcast into doing that. They didn't send it to me as Podcast Palooza, or they didn't send it to me as a ticket buyer. They sent it to me through the press stuff. So I thought it was press stuff, which they'll send you, hey, guess what? This person's coming. And they'll tell you before anybody else. And yay. And as press, we get to go to all that shit. There's special press areas. and they sent me something about Podcast Palooza. And I checked it out and answered a few things, and then nothing I think we had 3 weeks before it was supposed to go down to where they said we were selected. I was kind of like, selected for what? Did I enter in anything? And I read on, which I probably should have done more in the first place. But they picked 7 podcasts who, I guess, filled out that questionnaire or answered some questions for them to podcast live there. And admittedly, I told them, cool, we'll do that. Them picking us, I assume that they listened to the show. I don't expect them to know everything about the show, so they didn't really tell us how this was going to go at all. They had no planning whatsoever. And I finally had to reach out. I think I waited till about a week before the show. I was like, so how is this going to go down? There's certain things I need. And they were just like, yeah, you're going to go up and podcast for 45 minutes. And then the next podcast will go up and podcast for 45 minutes. I was like, that's pretty weird. That's not what I was expecting. That's not what I'd want to take part in. It felt like I said, a comedy show. Like I'd have to do a set or something like that. So I said, all right, well, I guess that's weird, but of course we'll do it. And I told her, I'm going to need to be able to run my computer through the PA so people can hear Mike talk. And I explained how you're in New York and that's how we've done the show forever. And then, I think another day later, and we're counting down, this is the 3rd day. So now we got 2 days to go. And they said they weren't going to be willing to do that. And, I was kind of bummed out about it, but me and Mike talked and we agreed to just do it anyway. And then I just got more uncomfortable with sitting there for 45 minutes now by myself trying to talk about comic books when we're a paranormal podcast. I was like, this kind of just doesn't feel right. And, lucky enough, I asked JG to host it with me to do it live. And he agreed, which was super awesome. He was the first person I thought of to do it with me. One of the only people I trust to do this with me. I take, me and Mike joke around all the time, but I take my podcast very seriously. We put a lot of work into it. And then, when I told them that I got somebody who would be able to host it with me live, they said great and waited till I think it was almost the last day. And, I got curious. I said, so how am I getting JG in? And they were like, we don't know. So it just wasn't there. They're like, we don't issue any passes or anything like that. So I was kind of just hit with this. So you're not going to let me podcast with my partner. You're going to make me do a format that we don't do, that we're not comfortable doing. You're forcing us to get a co-host, which we were lucky enough we had somebody who'd be willing to do something like that. Podcast live at fucking Silicon Valley Comicon. And then now you're not going to get him into the event as a fucking presenter. We're not going to Comic-Con now. We're in Comic-Con. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, no. And I was like, okay, we're not going to be doing this. Thank you very much. So that was basically how that went. And it was no hard feelings to them or anything like that. If they want to do it next year and do this right, I'd be willing to do it again. We'll have JG do it with us and have Mike fly out. But, holy shit, guys. I couldn't find Podcast Palooza. Did you run into Podcast Palooza when you were there?
At the very, very end by happenstance.
Yeah. It was directly next to the kids' rest area where they had.
Imagine that. Imagine us doing a show next to the children's area.
Oh my God. They would have shut us off after the first crystal butt plug mention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we dodged a bullet is the right term. But it didn't seem like it would have been our type of.
Having it be next to the kids area, I think it was a missed opportunity. I think we could have gotten to the children while they were still young, got them on the side of Barack Obama.
Warn them
They could have all trained their own barn owl spies from a young age to join the evil Time Lord in the future and help conquer. I really think that we failed in that regard.
I would have made barn owl cutouts. They could have had like Nerf target practice shooting at barn owls.
No, you don't shoot the barn owls.
No, you'll teach your agenda. I'll teach mine. I'm on Barrio's side, bro.
Now you're confusing. You're just confusing the message. They're not going to know what to do.
No.
There's always next year, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's always next year.
I mean, I hope it was a success for them enough to continue it. I mean, when I finally found it, I got to walk by, and I mean, there was 2 people there sitting in the seats that was meant for this thing, and it looked like they were the next podcast that was coming up. And the way that the Silicon Valley Comicon thing is set up is that it's not just a comic book convention; it's a science and tech convention.
Yeah.
And it's the Silicon fucking Valley. It's put on by Steve Wozniak. When they said they're doing a Podcast Palooza, I was like, why didn't anybody think about this on the first year? This is perfect. This would have been great. And just to be asked about it and then being picked, I was really excited. I thought it was going to be cool. I was still excited when JG, you said you were going to do it. I was like, cool, let's do it. You know, and then it just got to a level of, I mean, not disrespect to who the fuck are we? We're not anybody super cool, but just unpreparedness on their part, to where you can feel that it wasn't going to be worth it if we did it. I mean, like, to do something, like I said, to not be able to do it with Mike, to have to change our format, and to hustle to get somebody and find somebody willing to do it, and then not even get them in the fucking building, that was the last straw for me. I was like, oh, man. Yeah. I don't think the company who was putting it on had no idea what a podcast was, to be honest.
What our podcast?
Yeah. She was like, good luck on your podcast. I was like, it's not really like that. I just put it out. That's
but sounds like a disease. Good luck on your podcast.
Yeah, get some cream for that podcast. Oh.
Yeah, I'm really glad you bailed, because I really had in my head like the moment from the Wayne's World movie where Wayne bails and the scarf behind. And I just pictured you on stage being like Garth.
That's exactly how I bet. And JG would have totally handled himself perfectly. I would have sat there, JG would have talked, and he would have smelled something horrible. And he's going to be like, did you shit your pants? He did. He shit his pants.
A little bit of pee.
A little bit of pee. Oh, man. But yeah, next year, I mean, hell, just to get you out here, Mike, to fly you out here, just to do that, we'll rally the 4 listeners we have in this area and get them to come out.
I'll be one.
Will they lay down rose petals for me to walk upon?
No, but I will.
Oh, you're one of the good ones, Mateo.
Oh, man. All right, so some of the stuff that we're going to cover, or go ahead, Jay, if you're going to say so.
No, I'm not. I'm listening. I'm enjoying I'm here for the ride, man. I'm here for a good time. My cheeks hurt from laughing.
We were going to cover the shit that me and JG were going to talk about at the Comic-Con now. So you guys, I mean, I had to bust ass and try to find shit that was kind of comic book related and try to keep it kind of paranormal and supernatural, trying to keep in the natural vein of our show. So we found some cool shit that we were going to talk about. And instead of just letting it go to waste, we're going to talk about tonight. So, I don't know. Do you want to start, Mike, with what you had, or?
Well, we've talked about it before on the show with when we've talked, one of the times we've brought up tulpas, and I think probably one of the most famous one is Alan Moore meeting John Constantine in a sandwich bar, and according to he mentioned this in an interview, and the story goes he was just at a sandwich shop having a sandwich, what like you do in those sort of situations. And he said all of a sudden up the stairs came this guy that looked exactly like John Constantine. And he said he looked up at him and Constantine looked at him and they locked eyes, and he kind of gave him like a knowing smirk and gave him a nod and then walked around the corner. And he said it kind of freaked him out, and for a minute, he sat there contemplating whether or not he should go around the corner to see if he was still there or just continue eating his sandwich and then go along his merry way. But yeah, I guess he was too freaked out because he decided not to go after him and find out what was going on. I don't know if it was a cosplayer that just like, oh, I'll go take a look at, I see Alan Moore. I got the blonde hair. I'm wearing my fucking trench coat. Maybe I can just go in and be like, hey, I kind of look like John Constantine, don't I? And he'll be like, yeah, you do. And instead he's like, oh my fucking God, I willed him into existence.
No, Moore said he was wearing the trench coat, even down to the red tie, right?
Yeah. He said it looked just like him.
Wow. How would you handle that, JG? Sitting in a fucking sandwich shop. I would have. I mean, knowing what I know about ghosts, tulpa, demons, I still would have ran after that thing.
I probably would have.
Yeah.
If anything, just to get his autograph. Be like, hey, sign your comic that I made.
That's so I wrote you. Could I have your autograph though?
I wonder if that would have made him real. It was like touching himself back in time or something like that. It's
fucking just time comps himself. He just dissolves. He gets back into the comic book.
What would you do, Mike? Would you chase him down?
Absolutely.
Man.
I would need to know what the deal was. If it was just like some weird fanboy that was following me into a sandwich shop, or if it was John Constantine that was like, hey, you've been working on me a lot lately, and here I am.
Yeah, that's
the idea of tulpas, though. There's occasions when they can be willed into existence without even attempting, and it's just when a lot of concentration and thought is put into the characters, or the whatever the tulpa is that's created. It's usually formed from intense concentration and a lot of thought going into this character or figure or being or whatever. And if you got to think, if someone is writing this character, especially if they've been writing them for years, they're spending a really lot of time and concentration on this character and developing his character traits and his personality and like every detail of this character's life and existence at the point that they're writing him. So by putting all of this, they're putting the personality, they're putting the looks, they're putting the activities, the events, all of this into this character, his backstory. So it's really creating a figure. And when they're spending all this time thinking about it, that could create an unintentional tulpa. Even if it's just a temporary tulpa, it's still something that kind of presented itself through the writers or the creator's subconscious and somehow was able to manifest in the world, if only briefly, but they were able to make that happen unintentionally.
Alan Moore, and if I saw like John Constantine walk in the bar and he did something that was specifically Constantine that only like I knew that he would do, then I would be like, all right, what the fuck? Yeah. But naturally, I'm just going to think it's like, oh, that guy's really good at cosplay.
Yeah. It's almost when
that's the other thing, though, because it wasn't even like a convention or anything. Like I believe he was in his hometown, just at a sandwich shop, and he walked in. So unless it was somebody who was like a weird stalker, that was keeping secret, he was like, oh, I'm going to get him. Just you wait.
He's coming to that sandwich shop. I'm going to buy a ham and cheese and fuck with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when you first told me about that, it's almost so hard to believe that it just automatically makes me think of the Tales from the Dark Side episodes and the Twilight Zone episodes where they use that, where a writer will will something into existence. And it was always spooky and so strange. It was just like, oh, wow, that's such a weird thing. And then hearing about the Constantine thing, and then hearing about tulpamancy and how that can happen. You found some other cases where this is not a isolated event.
No, there's been people that have written on Superman for a long time that'll say that they've seen Clark Kent. But I mean, really, I don't think that's entirely all that surprising. All you need is a businessman with glasses, or a dude in a suit with glasses and dark hair. That I don't think that's too out of the ordinary. But there's one. I think his name is Dave McCone. He's a comic book illustrator, and he used to do. I think he also worked on Constantine or Hellblazer as well, but he used to do the cover art for Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
Right.
And have you heard this story?
I may have.
He was on a plane and somebody died on the plane. And he said as he was reboarding the plane, someone that looked exactly like Death from the Sandman comics walked past him, like dressed just like her with the same hairstyle and everything. And they crossed paths as he was going back to the plane that someone had just died on.
Yes, okay, I did hear about this case, and I love this case. I mean, you're familiar with Death? Have you seen Death? It's old Sandman shit.
I've only read a couple Sandman episodes.
Mike,
series.
you know what Death looks like?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just a little basic. Basically, it's a little goth chick, but she is Death. She's white as milk, jet black hair, jet black makeup, and this case, this stood out to me when I came across it because he said, like, as bizarre as she looks, as abnormal as somebody who is white as snow, with jet black everything, void of color to her. He said that's what I saw. That was her. He says it wasn't a cosplayer. He said there was no conventions in town. There was nobody in cosplay in the airport. Nothing. He knowingly excluded any other explanation and took the time to say that was Death. That was the girl from the comic books.
And the fact that someone died, like, that's what makes it even better.
Yeah.
Well, I guess worse for the guy's family, but I'm saying, like, it makes the story better.
Yeah. That's just crazy.
I can't remember the dude's name, but there was a guy who was writing for a Planet of the Apes comic, and he was writing this scene. This is the craziest story to me of a writer manifesting his character, or in this case, an event, into his real life. So he had just finished writing this scene where this one ape who wore a black hood over his head broke into the home of the human hero and grabbed the human hero's wife and held a gun to her head to make the hero do whatever he wanted him to do. And he said, right after he wrote that, his wife called him from the other room, and she had a weird tone in her voice. And he went out there, and there was a man with a black hood on who had his wife and had a gun to her head and was threatening him through his wife. And he said it really fucked with him after that, because he became obsessed with that, and it made him think, like, maybe he should be careful what he writes so that it doesn't manifest in a negative way in his life. And it really freaked him out. I can't remember the dude's name, though.
That's a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I would fucking burn all my writings.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, I found an article on it, and I'll put it in the show notes, and I'll include his name and stuff like that. I forget his name as well. But he didn't write for years. He didn't draw anything for years after that. It messed with him that bad. And you can mean, like, running into Constantine, seeing Death on an airplane, that's jarring.
Nuts.
That's cool. But
to write out something that, like, oh, an ape with the hoodie came in and threatened my wife, forcing me to do shit, and that happened, like, right after.
Momentarily.
It's like, all right,
Yeah.
the fuck is watching me?
Yeah, jeez.
It was ape in this case, but
What if it was? Holy shit.
At that point, yeah, you're...
all of a sudden just ape kicks in his front door and grabs his wife. He's like, oh shit.
It's happening.
It just fucking grabs a gun, points it at your wife's head. It's all, I need your wallet and your keys.
Yeah. I mean, if an ape were to do that, I would hand that over just based on oddness of the situation alone.
You're not even scared. You're just, like, amazed.
Yeah, I'm just like, you know what? You are a talking ape, and
you got a gun.
Here.
You got me.
What?
Good job.
On my car. Here's my car keys. Let's see if you can drive.
I don't mean to sound like a dick, but there's actually a couple bananas in the kitchen.
Yeah,
Take them with you.
I happen to like bananas too, so I'm not being specious.
Well, fuck. Before we get into the other shit I wanted to talk about, Mike, let's join hands, JG, and cry about the new developments on Spider-Man as far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe goes.
Spiderman.
Yep, Spooderman. Now, when we got what was that?
I said I prefer Spiderman.
Spiderman.
Have you ever seen those? It's a old list of dollar store knockoff toys.
Oh no!
And there's a Spider-Man figure, but it's like a really cheesy one, and it's labeled as Spiderman, like James Spader.
Oh man, I want that toy.
Right? Spiderman.
Well, we got Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a couple Avengers movies and 2 of his movies. And just for people who don't know, Mike, you kind of actually shocked me with why and what happened, but I think it was in 89, Marvel put the rights to Spider-Man up for sale. And a couple people bought it, exchanged hands with a few companies, but I believe in, what was it, Mike, 99? Sony's the ones who ended up with the rights to Spider-Man. So the first 2 or 3, unfortunately, Spider-Man movies that we know and love with Tobey Maguire, those are Sony Spider-Man movies. The Amazing Spider-Man?
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man.
With Andrew Garfield, that was Sony as well. So I guess, I don't know when, but now Marvel, Disney, they struck what they say is an unprecedented deal to basically share the rights to Spider-Man so that they can put him with the Avengers, and we got to see all the cool shit that we've seen so far. Now, Sony and Disney went to negotiate about extending the rights to be able to use Spider-Man in the Marvel movies. And we all know that we're supposed to get one more Tom Holland Spider-Man film. And that was the case. They reached no agreement. So after this 3rd movie, Marvel was not going to be able to use Spider-Man in their movies anymore. And that sucked. Boo-hoo. Well, they announced that they're not even going to give Disney the rights to do a 3rd Spider-Man movie. So there's that was it. That's it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. There's not going to be another.
If you've seen the second Spider-Man, if you've seen Far From Home, you know it ends on a cliffhanger, so
yeah,
that kind of blows. That's
not going to happen anymore. Mike, how pissed off are you about that?
I'm very cross with that. Because like you said, that cliffhanger at the end was, that left me feeling a lot of like there was a lot to come with these characters and their universe. And now we're left not even knowing if we're going to get a resolution. I mean, Tom Holland's going to stay Spider-Man, but are they going to stick with the story? Like, how can they pull it out of the Marvel universe with it? Like, I can see they can acknowledge that certain things happen, but like, are they going to just ignore the whole Thanos thing and his relationship with Iron Man?
It looks like they're going to have to.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
It is. It's really fucked up. I just got to watch Endgame. I watched it like 5 days ago. I had never seen it, so I wasn't caught up. I haven't seen the new Spider-Man one with Mysterio, so I haven't seen that. But that Endgame was jarring, dude. That was fucked up. That I'm not watching that shit anymore. I'm not watching those. I get too emotionally attached and get upset, and just to have that happen right after watching that, this fallout between Sony and Marvel, it really, really fucking sucks. But we've gone through this before. They fucking snatched the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from us, the one we all loved. They were supposed to make another one of those. And, I have to point out that the universe that Spider-Man joined, the 2 times he was in Avengers flicks and his own 2 movies, let's just take away his own standalone movies. Just him being in the Avengers movies. That universe that he got to be in was built all without Spider-Man.
Yeah, Disney will be just fine.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. It sucks that he's not going to be in the Marvel Universe anymore because they got so much cool shit planned. But Tom Holland did say he's going to be Spider-Man in the next Sony installment of Spider-Man.
I guess he's contracted for 2 more Spider-Man films.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
2 more.
And because it's Sony now, who knows, we might actually get to see Spider-Man in the new Venom that Andy Serkis is directing.
Well, from what I understand, Sony is going the Spider-Verse route.
Ooh.
And yeah, we were just talking about the animated Into the Spider-Verse shit. Mike, you saw that. You made me watch that. And I think still that's the best fucking Spider-Man thing that's Marvel's ever done.
That's not even Marvel.
That's Sony.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's the best Spider-Man anything to come out. So that kind of cushioned the blow a little bit. If you're telling me you're going to get Tom Holland to be in another 2 films now, is what you're saying, JG, and they're going to do Spider-Verse shit, fucking go for it. I mean, like, dude, Sony didn't do bad with fucking Spider-Man. They didn't treat Spider-Man bad. The Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi movies were fucking awesome. Again, I don't know shit about Andrew Garfield. I refuse to watch that shit. So I don't know how good those were. I know that they basically dropped that incarnation of Spider-Man because Andrew Garfield was such a twat. Like he wouldn't show up for stuff, and they were just like, okay, he did it so much to where they're just like shut it all down. So I'm not interested in watching production like that. Plus, his adaptation, I saw the little commercials for the DVD and shit like that, and to me, he just gave Peter Parker a smart-mouthed little prick feel to him. I'm like, no, he cracked jokes. He was funny. He would make you laugh. He wasn't just a prick, an egotistical, smart mouth. I was like, you just blew it as Peter Parker for me.
The first Amazing Spider-Man really wasn't bad, though. Like, they had some really cool Spider-Man-y stuff.
Who was the villain? I don't even know.
It was the Lizard.
Oh, okay.
And,
I hated the way it looked, though.
Did they make him look like a fucking Ninja Turtle?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's a very humanoid.
With a tail.
With a tail?
Yeah.
Oh, gross. How can you do that? The Lizard's one of the most horrifying villains in Marvel. It's just an unminded fucking ravaged beast.
Yeah. They wanted to, and his whole thing was he wanted to make everybody a lizard or something. I can't really remember. But there were some cool fights with Spider-Man. Like, they did some cool Spider-Man stuff that they never did with Tobey Maguire. Like, they had Spider-Man actually, like, using his webbing during the fighting. Okay. Like, he was climbing over the Lizard, and as he's climbing over him, he's shooting him with webbing, so that he's, like, sticking him as he's going.
It's a fucking Goomba!
Just cool shit. Yeah. It looks like a Goomba from the Mario Brothers movie.
Wow. Okay.
I love those movies.
Yeah, me too.
3D rendering of it.
Okay. Well, they could have done better with that.
Yeah.
There's another great fucking, pretty much for me, it's the only comic book podcast that exists. It's called Cerebros. But they do a great job. They know their shit. And Sony owns a lot of Marvel shit. Yeah. A lot. I mean, some great characters that we're probably never going to see. But if they're going to do Into the Spider-Verse shit with Tom Holland, dude, aren't you guys stoked for a Sony Marvel Cinematic Universe now?
No, fuck yeah, I am.
That's going to be fucking great.
Yeah, if it's based all around the Spider-Man characters, like, I'm on board. It sucks that they're not part of the regular Marvel universe, but having Spider-Man and his whole rogues gallery, and then, like, you could even get the his sidekicks, and like go the route with where Peter Parker was Ricochet. Why the hell not? Forget Ricochet. Do the Clone Saga, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Like, you could turn the Clone Saga into a single movie, and it would be compelling shit. Just really refine it all and cut it down to like 2 hours.
Well, if Sony was smart, I mean, I didn't watch the Venom movie, but from what I understand, they show a little bit of City at the end.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They show a little bit of Woody Harrelson with red hair in a jail cell. I mean, if you got Tom Holland signed on for 2 movies, why don't you do the fucking greatest Spider-Man story ever written in Maximum Carnage the shit out of this stuff?
You never know, they might.
I mean,
I think that's where they're going towards.
Yeah.
They're gonna Venom versus Carnage movie, and then the Spider-Man will probably end up getting involved in that.
Well, I mean,
the main thing I dislike is that Venom didn't start with Peter Parker, and that's the most obnoxious thing to me. Because how are you gonna give that rivalry any substance when there was no precedent set? Like, there's a reason that Venom dislikes Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, for me, just from the commercials and little clips I've seen of the Venom movie, it's Lethal Protector.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
what they based it on.
It's not a bad guy, right? He's not a bad guy in this movie.
He's an anti-hero.
Yeah. The shit they're doing now with the Carnage stuff, not Maximum Carnage. I forget. I'm sorry. I don't know why, but Venom and Spidey are teamed up, and it's fucking Eddie's got a good head on his shoulders now, and it's fucking so cool to see them like team up, but as older dudes who've tried to kill each other many times. It's so awesome. Fucking Venom almost loves Peter. You know?
Yeah, it's you know, story as old as time. Like, you know, we're enemies. Eventually, that we're going to remain mortal enemies. But I've known you for so many years. Mm-hmm. I know I can kind of trust you, but you might backstab me. But at the same time, I'll do the same to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, so it's that mutual mistrust that's also that can form a trust.
Definitely, and that was very present in the Lethal Protector shit. Venom was like, I've been heroing for years, and Parker was like, get the fuck away from me. I don't care what the fuck you think you're doing. I've seen you eat people's brains. And I don't know if you guys remember when Venom first came out, that was his thing, you know, eat people's brains. He was an alien, you know, but that they could go anywhere they want, you know. But if they're talking about the Spider-Verse stuff, I mean, maybe they're going to keep it separate. Maybe they're going to just do regular Peter in the Maximum Carnage stuff and then do Miles Morales thing, because if Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man, Greg Stone pointed out in the Cerebros that Sony now owns anything Spider-Man. They created Miles Morales. You're calling him Spider-Man. Guess what? Sony owns it. So they can Spider-Gwen. Yeah. They own fucking, you know, all that shit. So
do they own like they probably don't also own the various Spider-Women though. I wouldn't think.
No, it's just Spider-Man. And I don't know. I'm not sure.
They could do a Mayday movie, though, man. How cool would that be?
That would be way cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't object to that.
Yeah. And especially if they're doing Spider-Verse. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
What about if they made a rated R Man Spider? It's like a horror movie.
Dude, how cool would that be? That would be awesome.
And make it like The Fly.
That'd be awesome.
Peter just barfs on his own hands when they start growing out of his side and they fall off and hairy spider pokey arms come out.
There's actually a movie, a really old one. I think it was called Earth versus the Spider. What it was like, this guy was he's like a scientist and he was inspired by Spider-Man, like, well, this universe's version of Spider-Man. And so he injects himself with, you know, mutated DNA of the spider, and he slowly starts becoming like a humanoid spider thing. But he wants to be a superhero. But then, you know, when the whole Cronenberg shit starts happening, starts turning into a spider.
Oh, wow.
At the very end, I think he's like a man torso, and like he has like the mandibles of a spider, and he has like his legs turned into like just the eight appendages.
Jeez. And he shoots web from his asshole?
No, from like his chest, his abdomen.
Oh, wow.
He's like a horrific spider person.
That's awesome.
Mike, you were telling me that one of the reasons why Marvel sold the rights to a lot of people. I wish we had a list, because from what I understand, like Cardiac is owned by Sony. Do you remember Cardiac, Mike?
No, not at all.
Really? The Spider-Man villain?
Oh.
Oh, wow. But Mike, you were telling me how, I mean, Marvel's always been ran poorly. They've always been ran poorly, but I didn't know that all their fucking prism and hologram covers and chromium covers, that they just spent so much money doing that in the 90s. Because, like, we were talking about it off recording a while ago, Mike, and that was like their fucking heyday. When me and you were kids, all of us, when we were kids, that's when we were buying comic books. Everybody was buying comic books.
But that's also when they killed the comic book market, was in the early to mid 90s, because they just kept coming up with all these gimmicks, and it just made it so everybody wanted to collect at that point because of how much certain character things were worth and how much. But then they're like, well, people are starting to have an interest in these, so let's produce a whole new line of number ones, and then we'll do. Yeah. I think for a while they were doing the second issue would always have multiple covers, so then everyone would go out and buy the multiple covers, and then they would be like, all right, well, this month we're doing a chromium cover, and this month we're doing a hologram cover so everyone would go out and buy all of those, and then they'd have. That's when they kind of started doing the comic book event things too, where like must read comics, and it just really, everyone thought that because these things looked cool that it would become a collector's item down the line. Like, look, it's got a holographic sticker on the cover. That's not your classic comic book. That's gonna be worth money. We need to pick that up. Oh, every title on the shelf this month has this. We need to get them all because look at that. They got a shiny little trinket on the cover. And then now you can get those things in dollar bins across the country. They're not worth anything.
Oh, dude, that's definitely heartbreaking for me, man. I like all my comic books and my comic book cards was kind of like my nest egg for when I became an old man.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell one of these and buy a house. You know, I had cool shit. I had the like Hulk 386, the first appearance of Wolverine. And I had fucking Spider-Man. I forget what it was the Todd McFarlane cover where it was the silver spider. It was silver webs and Spidey's just sitting. I had that signed by McFarlane. I had John Romita Sr. signed comic books that he drew and shit like that. And just like, I remember collecting the comic book cards, like Marvel Masterpiece Series 1. And they had like the shiny ones and they had that one hologram, Mike. I don't know if you remember. It was Wolverine versus Sabretooth.
Like the cover from the comics, or was this an original art?
It was original art. It was a hologram, 3D hologram card. It was like the new kind to where you moved it and there was real depth to it. But that was going for $300 to $600 if you had one of those back then. I had like 8.
And now they're probably like $5 to $6.
Not even. $3 was the last time I saw one. I couldn't fucking believe it. And it's so sad. Even comic books, you know, you got to have it in one of those hard cases and have it evaluated with a number sticker on it for anybody even look at valuing your comic book anymore.
Yeah.
You can
I got the first appearance of Miles Morales, and I was thinking, oh man, after Into the Spider-Verse comes out, it's going to skyrocket. Somehow the opposite happened. It's down in price. I don't know how. Like because I looked a year ago and it was worth $100-something, and this was for a non-graded copy. So long as it was in good shape, it was $100-something. I looked recently and it was like $50-something.
Jeez, why?
Because America got wind of an ethnic Spider-Man. They didn't like it.
His first appearance was kind of it was in kind of an obscure book. So it was Ultimate Spider-Man back when the Ultimate Universe was still a thing, and Peter Parker had died, and they did this 5-issue, maybe it was 4 issues, 4 or 5 issue miniseries after his death called Spider-Man Requiem, and it was about the world after the death of Spider-Man. And in one of the issues was Miles Morales, and it was his first appearance.
Gotta take a look at that.
I fucking bought the issue 1, 2, and 3 of Spider-Gwen's series. Yeah. And when I was at Comic-Con, I saw those for $60, $70. I was like, oh, that's cool. But
those took off. I tried to get my hands on those too, but every place was sold out when it came out. And then I looked on eBay and I'm like, $10 for an issue that just came out? Fuck that.
Yeah, it's all the new stuff that's valuable now.
I kind of wish.
Yeah. It was at Comic-Con when we were there, I saw comic books. It's fucking weird to see. They came out that week, but since it's drawn by J. Scott Campbell, they'll write on a sticky note, J. Scott Campbell, $12.99. I'm like, just because it's drawn by him, Jim Lee, J. Scott Campbell, and Scotty Young. It could have came out that day. They're fucking triple the price. Just because that's how that market went. It's weird. It's who draws now. I'm like, dude, that was the cool thing is every issue somebody else was tackling. You know, they had people who worked on series and shit like that, but that was one of the cool things. I guess just what makes it collectible now has changed.
Yeah.
What's the oldest comic book you have, Mike?
I don't really have too many old ones.
Oh, yeah?
No, I've got like some old Avengers from like, I don't know, either the late 70s or early 80s. That's probably as old as I get. Like I really didn't even get into comic book collecting like for real until 2005. Like I dabbled in it a little bit as a kid. They used to have comic books at the dollar store, but they were all like, no Marvel or DC. It was like First Comics or like some really obscure Dark Horse or Image Comics. Nothing that would be mainstream. So I would just get some of that shit every now and again, and then occasionally back when there was still a newsstand at the grocery stores, I would get some comics there. And then when I was in college, I was really into Chaos Comics, but that was all that I was into. Like I didn't get into any superhero shit. It was just straight up Chaos Comics, and that was that. And then my friend got me into comics when the first Civil War Marvel series started. He was telling me about it. I'm like, well, that sounds kind of cool. And it was a good jumping on point. So I started picking that up. And then from there, I like just got sucked into the Marvel universe completely. And then I started collecting all the old Spider-Man shit. I'm like, oh man, I need to get all the old trades. And then I got a huge chunk of the J. Michael Straczynski Spider-Man run, and that was my first like real introduction to main universe Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And it was drawn by John Romita Jr. and just such good stuff.
Yeah.
You guys ever get into DC Comics at all?
I'd see when I was growing up, my dad and I got into comics when I was real young. He's always into them, so when I got of age to take it seriously and not just leave him on the floor, I was all Marvel, he was all DC. So I had that shit to read as much as Marvel. So I had a lot of DC growing up.
I recently started getting into...
Oh, sorry. DC, but I think the Sinestro War was what really... that whole storyline was amazing. But I'm not too into... I read Batman. Or I read Batman, I should say. I haven't read anything in probably over a year now, but I did like Batman, and I liked Green Lantern.
I started reading, was it Dark Knight Metal?
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That looks cool.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, like it's the first one I started reading was like Dark Knights Rising or whatever. It kind of gives you like the first issue of each of those like Dark Universe's Batmans and how they just kind of turned evil.
Oh, wow.
Like the Green Lantern one is fucking brutal, man.
Really?
It's so cool. Huh. Like he fucking gets the power ring and like his will just to get revenge on the guy who killed his parents. Like is so strong it fucking corrupts his ring and breaks it.
Oh, wow.
And it allows like the darkness to go inside the ring, and so he has control of the dark rather than the light.
Wow. Is that like all the Black Lantern-esque stuff?
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
But the first thing he does is fucking try to resurrect his parents, and it shows it like they're just kind of like zombified, like, we love you, son. He's like, fuck.
Oops.
No, it's really cool. I recommend it. The Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah, that one people are stoked on too. Have you seen that, Mike?
I've seen the artwork for it. Yeah. I don't know anything about it though.
It's got the two feral Robins. They're like just dead children from like...
Is it Joker as Batman, like an alternate universe?
It's actually Bruce Wayne. So,
oh, really?
I don't know. Do you want me to kind of spoil this for you?
Fuck yeah.
All right, spoiler alerts. In this universe, Joker like is kind of releasing like his Joker toxin to like a lot of people, a lot of children and all that and everything. And so it's making them all like him. And while doing it, he's killing their parents like all in front of Batman. Cause he had like, broken Batman's like leg or something like that. And he's tied up. Batman gets free, like is fucking losing his shit, grabs Joker by like has him in a headlock and snaps his neck. So he kills the Joker. And upon doing so, I guess the original Joker toxin, the Joker serum, and everything that made him the Joker was lying dormant in his lungs. And so in that last breath he gives, he can release the toxin and Batman breathes it in.
Mega concentrated, pure Joker.
Yeah, and so he slowly becomes the Joker.
Wow.
But he's Bruce Wayne. And he kills a lot of people. He kills all the Justice League.
Really?
Yeah. And the coolest thing he says to Superman is like, that I know how to kill you, but it's just so hard because there's so many ways I know how to kill you. It's hard to pick just one.
Wow.
Wow. That's awesome.
Did you guys ever read the Gods Among Us stuff?
No. But I've wanted to because that shit looks really cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
That one and the Justice ones too.
I was reading something about Ragman. I found a couple cool Ragman comic books at Comicon, and I was just wondering what they did with him because he's from old school, old days of DC Comics, like Action Comics shit. Where I don't know if do you know who Ragman is? No. It's pretty much it's kind of like it's like their Moon Knight a little bit, but he has like a suit of rags that's all patchy rag work. His dad.
Actually, no. I think they put him in that one show.
The Arrow.
Yeah, the Arrow. Yeah,
I heard they put him in there.
Yeah.
But it's basically his dad had a junk shop, like a junk pawn shop, and when he ran it with a bunch of his friends from the army, like 6 army buddies. They're all old men. And somebody came and killed him, robbed the place and killed them all, and their spirits went into this rag costume that they had just always been in the shop. So his son puts it on, and he basically has the abilities of everybody that's there. And one guy was a strong man, one guy was a sharpshooter, one guy was a martial artist. So he had the ability of 6 men. When he hits somebody, he can put 6 men into it.
Shit.
So in the newer versions, it's pretty much like he's kind of more like a Ghost Rider. They've made him more of a spiritual-esque character. So when he stops a crime, he can grab them and they'll just be like, fuck you, and take you to jail. But if they have some type of like a redemption or something like that, to where if they like shit their pants, like he can almost like generate fear, and they'll just be like, I'll go home and enroll in school. And he'll be like, that's what I needed. And that hatred or whatever that was in them will go into the suit. And at this point, there's thousands of fucking souls in his suit. Even demons are in his suit. And I guess we're in the Gods Among Us. I don't know. Superman's pissed. Superman's gone mad. I don't know anything about
those. I think so. Yeah, it's Dark Superman.
And he's convinced other people to join him in his cause. So they fucking Dr. Fate comes, and Darkman's trying to stop them, and he just grabs Darkman and goes, "Hey, aren't you made of souls?" You're all absolved.
Did you ever play that game?
Which game?
The Gods Among Us game.
No.
Well, no.
That comic story was created for the game.
For the game?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the game was Injustice, Gods Among Us. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But and it's all based around Superman goes crazy because he kills the Joker after the Joker killed Lois Lane.
Oh, wow.
And after that, he becomes like a tyrant, and he's obsessed with maintaining order on Earth and making no crime. So it becomes like a like almost Orwellian type thing where all the Justice League is working to make sure that there's no crime. So basically nobody has rights anymore, and it's Superman's law. And if you don't like it, then you're either locked up or you're killed.
Wow.
And the only one that doesn't follow along is Batman.
Huh.
Of course.
And then the game is all like the heroes from the past are they go to the future to fight against like the not necessarily evil versions of themselves, but the ones that are under Superman's rule, so that they follow everything he does. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I thought that was fucked up for Dr. Fate to absolve all the souls in Ragman's suit, because it basically turned him to nothing.
I know.
Even his soul.
What an asshole.
Just killed him, yeah. I guess I read somewhere that Shazam witnessed it, and it shocked him so much, and it was so horrifying to him that he can no longer turn into Shazam. He's reverted to a kid, and he's like, it just fucked up from watching Ragman die. I was like, fuck. Now it's from a video game? I'll rather play the video game. Just add Ragman, and I'll be good.
DLC.
Yeah, Ragman wasn't in the video game, unfortunately. But.
Yeah. I was stoked to hear that they at least put him in that Arrow show. I saw what they made him look like, and I was like, that's not Ragman, but thanks.
That was a fucking mummy.
Yeah, that's why I was like, hey, it's fucking the mummy. Something else that I researched to talk about at Comic-Con was something cool. It's something called the Byrne Curse. Do you know John Byrne? Have you heard of John Byrne?
No.
He's a comic...
Isn't it John...
Go ahead.
Isn't it John Byrne?
Yeah, probably. I can't read my writing. But this guy, John Byrne, we'll call him, but he's worked on everything from Beetle Bailey to X-Men, classic our era 90s shit. Mm-hmm. But he's worked on Hellboy. He's even created the Next Men. You remember them, Mike?
The Next Men?
Yeah, the Next Men. That was one of those, like you're talking about those like shit. They weren't around then, but like Top Cow and Valiant, all these weird offshoot companies, all these indie ones. But this dude has an insane talent for writing and drawing a comic book and having the shit in the comic book happen in real life. And I found so many examples of him doing this, I had to stop taking notes on it.
Oh, wow.
So I have a small list here of examples.
So you're saying John Byrne's a tulpomancer then?
I don't even know if... I didn't get a tulpomancy feel from this stuff. It's just maybe controlling fate in a fucking weird way. But I got a list here of events starting from the oldest to the most recent. But in 1997, he did the pencils for Marvel Team-Ups number 60. And in this issue, Spider-Man and the Wasp teamed up to take on a dude named Equinox, the thermodynamic man. I looked up thermodynamics. Equinox is pretty fucking stupid. His powers fucking suck. But during the battle, a large transformer was destroyed, causing a blackout for all of Manhattan, which would be pretty catastrophic, it being an island and whatnot. But the very same week the issue came out, New York suffered what they call the blackout of 77. There was a blackout, and there was reports of looting in 31 different neighborhoods. There was 25 fires set, and none could be even attempted to be put out until the next morning.
Shit, that sucks.
So, before that, there wasn't a fire or no blackout in Manhattan or New York since 65, and one hasn't occurred since till 2003. So it's not something that happens often at all, but the same week he wrote it in a comic book, it happened. And another case, 1978, Uncanny X-Men number 119. He wrote it and did the pencils for it with a dude named Claremont. But in the comic book, the X-Men travel to Japan, where, of course, the team runs into trouble from one seismic wave generating Moses Magnum, who causes earthquakes with his hands. But he causes a giant earthquake in Japan that destroys fucking half of Japan. And 3 months after the issue was released, Japan was struck with a 7.4 magnitude earthquake. And that's, I don't know if you want to attribute that to him. But as an interesting side note to that, later issue in the same series, in issue 189, Rachel Summers is sent to her past, which was our present, in the Days of Future Past timeline, which I didn't realize was that fucking old. But she's talking about how in her time, she delivers this quote, "The Twin Towers of the World Trade Center lie in ruins. Thousands are dead, many more injured." And the image that he accompanied with that is pretty haunting. It's an image we all saw on the news when that shit happened, which I have right here. I'll send to you, Mike.
Oh, shit. Damn.
Yeah, that's from, you've seen this angle from news reports of when 9/11 happened. So I'm going to send it to you, Mike, right now.
See, whoever's behind 9/11 was reading these comics.
They got the idea from this, unfortunately. But that's a super haunting image. And then here in 1986... he was doing The Man of Steel. You remember that run of comic books, Mike?
That was the title of it, Man of Steel?
Yeah.
Yeah, back when they had, like, Superman, Action Comics, and Man of Steel.
Yeah. But he had just finished drawing and writing the first installment of this Man of Steel limited series run. And he was ready to turn in the first draft for publishing. And in the comic books, it depicts Superman saving... a NASA-like space shuttle crashing to Earth. As everybody knows, right before it hit the press, he turned it in for it to be printed, and then the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded before they can even print the fucking thing. And he rushed quickly to redraw the panels because what he drew is literally the Challenger shuttle exploding in midair. There it is.
So he was like, fuck, everyone's going to think that I did this. I orchestrated it.
So he turned it to a futuristic space plane. And it's funny that he worked on the X-Men because it looks like the Blackbird. So I'll send you those two, Mike. You can see the panels of what was originally in it and what he had to rush to change it to.
If I was in his shoes, I would do that too, because everyone would think that, like, I planted a bomb on it or something, or like I was somehow responsible for it.
Yeah,
because I knew it was going to happen.
It seems like advanced knowledge. That's a little ridiculous. So the last one I have here comes from 1997. He did pencils and writing for Wonder Woman number 126, and this was the death of Princess Diana, the Amazonian Queen Wonder Woman, and the cover depicts an issue again written and drawn by Byrne, as I'll call him. It shows the front page of a newspaper with the headlines, "A World Without Wonder Woman." And this was literally 4 days after the issue hit the stands. We all know that Princess Diana was killed in that car crash chase.
Yeah.
So, this is just 4 days after it hits the stands, this shit happens. And that's all the ones that I wrote down. But there's at least 4 or 5 more cases of him writing shit and actually having it happen. I mean, within, I don't know, 6 months, that's pretty good. We're talking Nostradamus predictions and shit. That's pretty decent timing, right, Mike? If he's trying to do this on purpose. I mean, if he said he did this on purpose, this is more impressive than anybody else's future predicting skills.
But it would be like the same type of thing that happens with Nostradamus, where it's easy to attribute the things that are being said after the things happen. But I guess in this case, it's a lot more clear than some mysterious quatrains.
Yeah, definitely. And he even said that much himself. He's like, it's not impressive if you look at everything that I've written and nothing shit didn't happen. He's like, there's like 9,000 books compared to the 12 that you can say.
Yeah, and that is true, but to have so many coincidences attributed to one person, and it's all stuff he wrote, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And I know he's written hundreds and hundreds of comics in his career, but for everything that didn't come true, you know, it's a vastly superior number to the amount that did come true. But it's just the fact that some of the things that he wrote happened almost exactly.
Yeah, the detail is insane.
Yeah.
To write about a blackout in New York and then have one happen. I mean, that's pretty cool, but you know, massive earthquakes.
The Rachel Summers thing, though, man, with seeing the like she's looking back because she's from the future, so she's looking back on a memory.
Did you see the picture? Did you get it?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, right? I mean, that's a helicopter shot from when that tragedy took place.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's other ones that you guys can check out, but it's just some pretty interesting shit. I thought those were cool. I was trying to find spooky shit to where, I don't know, that's to me, like you said, Mike, that's a few cases out of many. But, I mean, it makes me think of Nostradamus. He might not have gotten them all right, but, you know, we all know about how when the French soldiers dug up his body, they found a plaque with that year and date on it. And the whole myth was that if you drink from Nostradamus' skull, you would be inherited with all his knowledge and powers to be able to see the future. But the drawback was you'd instantly die. So one soldier's like, that's bullshit. Why would you get all the gifts like that and then just instantly die? I'm going to do it. And they're like, don't do it. And he picked up the head and took a drink and was instantly shot by invading fucking troops because they were in the middle of war.
Shit.
So, I mean, like, it was that type of, like, he wasn't right all the time, but he was able to do that, you know, and it's Nostradamus.
But his skull was magic enough to make you die.
Yeah. Nostradamus accuracy with his writing stuff to life. Yeah, that's pretty.
That's a funny story, actually.
Yeah, I love Nostradamus. I studied the shit out of that when I was a kid. The whole black boar, white boar story. You ever hear that one?
Yeah. Didn't we do a Nostradamus episode?
I'm sure we've had to. People probably don't want me to hear that story again, but I'm going to tell it because JG hasn't heard it. But another.
It's not really impressive to me, to be honest.
The black boar, white boar story is not.
No, this story is a good one, but I'm saying like his alleged predictions from like hundreds of years into the future that are now we're able to read these quatrains and be like, see, it applied to this event here specifically.
Yeah, the
white boar, black boar thing, that's super impressive.
Yeah, he was invited to dinner by a certain ruler of an area. Hey, famous Nostradamus, you can predict the future. And he wanted to make Nostradamus look stupid. So he told Nostradamus, he says, for dinner tonight I have a white boar and a black boar. Which one did I have my chef prepare? If you can tell the future, you know everything. And he says, your chef prepared the black boar. And he goes, okay. So they commence the night, and the king guy goes back and he goes, do not cook the black boar. He says, cook the white boar, because now I control the situation. I'm going to bring it out and be like, nope, you were wrong. You're not so cool. I prepared the black boar. Hours go by, dinner comes out, and they start eating. And the king goes, oh, Nostradamus, what color boar did you say we're going to be eating tonight? He goes, the black boar. And he goes, well, unbeknownst to you, I went and told my chef to prepare the white boar. And Nostradamus is like, no, we're eating the black boar. And he's like, go get your chef. And he brings the chef out and he goes, can you tell Nostradamus what boar we're eating? He goes, we're eating the black boar. And the king goes, why? And he says, because while I was preparing the white one, the dogs of the castle ran through knocked it over onto the floor and instantly tore it to pieces. I was left with only the blackboard.
Bumpus's dogs.
Yeah. That's how specific Nostradamus would get. But that's, again, shit.
Ominous the king. Nostradamus showed up, like, just in a hoodie and shit. Just let the dogs in the kitchen. He controlled the situation.
Hey, come here, dogs.
Yeah, he brought a couple with him. The chef's all, I didn't even know we had fucking dogs. Oh, man. But yeah, dude, it's getting late for you, Mike. But before we wrap this up, if they do a Podcast Palooza again and they're not mad at us, so mad at us that they don't want us to do that again, would you fucking come over here and do a live podcast for 2 people and a bunch of kids?
For the kids' sake alone.
Say that again.
I would have, for the kids' sake alone, I think I would have to find my friend Jetpack the Owl there and make my way.
That would be awesome, dude. They've been super fortunate. We've been super fortunate by them giving us press passes. As a podcast, you can apply for a press pass, and it gets you access to certain things. They let you in there for free, so you can talk about it on whatever platform you report on. But it's just this. I've gone every year. This last year was so fucking fun. We went Saturday, and we came back, and we're like, fuck this. We bought tickets for Sunday and went right back. It was just so goddamn fun. And it was way awesome, dude. I think you'd have a blast. I hope you do come out. There's a lot of cool vendors out there. There's some vendors I'm going to put in the show notes. There was this guy specifically. Go to chumpmagic.com. You can email him at blah, blah, blah at chumpmagic.com. But he had some cool shit. And they have a lot of independent artists, and they have an artist alley to where they have independent comic book artists and crafters sell their shit there. And you can go to his website, and he has, I think it's like the first chapter of his book available to download for free as a PDF. And to me, that's awesome. He's literally giving away. He printed it out too. One of the nicer printed fucking books I've ever owned. I mean, he spared no expense, and he's just giving away parts of his work so people can check it out. But there's so many cool artists there. So many cool people. I hope the Podcast Palooza went well enough for them to where they do it again, and maybe we can do a good enough job to where they move the kid table away.
No, keep the kid table. That's part of the incentive. You need to start them young, Mateo. You gotta get them interested. The way you start, you get them interested in barn owls. That's the start, and they're like, oh, barn owls. They look kind of creepy, but they're really cool.
That's like on Sesame Street, right? Or are they like goofier labyrinth-looking owls?
I don't know. They probably have like classic like wise owl, not creepy death mask barn owls.
Death mask.
You get them, you indoctrinate them young, and you teach them that the barn owls are their friends, and then they convince mom and dad to let them get a barn owl. And they're like, oh, little Timmy, I want a barn owl. And they're like, but mom, and they start telling their mom all the cool facts about barn owls, and the kid's enthusiasm is contagious, and she's like, oh my god, we need to get your father to get us a barn owl. So they not only do they get a barn owl, they end up building an entire barn for this barn owl, and then they treat it like it's a freaking cat, and they spoil it, and they give it all sorts of food. They even catch the mice for this thing, and before you know it, he consumes their souls and takes them to time traveling Barack Obama to give him more power over the multiverse.
Oh god.
That's all thanks to you guys.
And it's all thanks to having the Podcast Palooza next to the kids' table.
Yep.
It's imperative to the plans for time domination, damn it.
You think it's possible to cosplay as evil time traveling Barack Obama?
Oh yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Or I'll cosplay as Barry Soetoro.
Yeah, dude, that would be great. I just want to make a wiki. I don't want the Whatcast to have a Wikipedia. I want evil time traveling Barack Obama to have one. So, because people are like, why do you hate Obama?
I'm like, no, we don't hate Obama, just the evil time traveling Barack Obama.
Just a place where people...
It is funny when people start listening later and they haven't heard like the development of this mythology that we've created.
Yeah.
They're just like, what is with barn owls and Barack Obama? I don't understand you guys.
It was so long ago that, recently I got an email and I'm like, I can't tell you. I don't. How did that start? I have no idea. It do not remember.
Episode that we did about Andrew Basiago, and then a few months later we did an episode, and it might have even been titled like Mike Turns to the Dark Side or something, and it's where I actually give my allegiance to evil time traveling Barack Obama.
Yep. Remember that, everybody. Where Mike's allegiance lie.
Yeah, I've been upfront about that from the beginning. They know.
At least it's not.
They're, secretly, most of them are with me. They just won't admit it to you.
At least it's not Reptama.
Oh, it's one and the same, my friend.
Dude, before we go, JG, thank you for coming all the way out here and recording with us.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being willing to step up at Podcast Palooza. And, I mean, I was shitting my fucking pants. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't an easy fucking decision to make yourself, and you didn't hesitate. We appreciate the shit out of that.
Anything I can do to help, man. Yeah. I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and you guys are my friends.
Yeah, man. Well,
even you, Mike. I've never seen your face, but we're friends. It's a one-sided friendship.
Yes. I'm giving you a long-distance high five right now.
Right on, man. Well, that's the end of the show. JG, thank you again.
Thank you.
Mike, try not to pull it too hard.
Well, it's more the pushing that'll get you.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.